for joining us on the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Central News Desk. Experts say the over 5 hours blackout on the Facebook family network of October the 4th, 2021 caused a loss of billions of francs CFA to Facebook and family. Experts counting the loss of local users in Cameroon say such a situation gives more reasons to public and private stakeholders to support and patronize locally developed social media applications. And in politics, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guji has counted the losses of the Northwest region to the armed conflict. Speaking to the men and women of the press in Bamenda today, Prime Minister Joseph John Guti said that the narrative of a stolen independence from Anglophones is all kinds of stories. These stories and more will be yours in this edition of the news. Thanks for listening or for getting connected to the full edition of News on Equinoxe Television. We're live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. We begin with one of our top stories on the blackout witnessed by Facebook users on Monday, the 4th of October 2021. Experts have been reacting since the incident. They say that the blackout for about 5 hours caused a loss of billions of francs CFA to Facebook and family. Counting the loss of local users in Cameroon, experts say that it is reasons enough for public and private sector stakeholders to support and patronize locally developed social media applications. Malak Glory went down the city of Douala, spoke to some of the experts and compiled the following report.
On the night of October 4th, between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m., a general problem was witnessed. Many people were unable to access Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram platforms.
In fact, I myself felt very bad. I was so disturbed because I have been sending images, videos to my colleagues somewhere in order to have some information about some products. Even the communication became a very big...
Despite resolutions of the difficulties, many are still questioning what went wrong. An engineer in technology explained the cause of the incident.
What happened, according to the reports that I got from Facebook and Cloudflare, which is also a major domain name service provider, there was a misconfiguration in the internal networking systems at Facebook that propagated itself across all its different services. Their configuration was as well affected because it is connected to the core Facebook networking configuration. So during the time of the outage, Facebook's internal routing was no longer being broadcasted or was no longer being updated by the BGP.
A situation which brought indiscriminate reactions from the public, others who accused their phones and bad network. Some, on the other hand, had to swap their communication SIM severally just to be updated, but to no avail. Specialists of the domain and some Cameroonians think this kind of occurrence should pave a way for local development.
They should actually be able to encourage those communication channels, those applications and systems that are built by themselves to export it to the world. Because if you don't have control over your information, then someone else will manipulate you with the information that they're sending through.
The suspension of this big social network for about 5 hours is known to have created a huge impact on both the users and the administrators. Facebook and its shares lost billions of dollars within the time frame.
On the financial aspect, I mean, Facebook is a publicly traded company as well as its other affiliates. So in terms of shares, Facebook shares plundered like 15 minutes every hour, 15% every hour during the outage, and they lost several $billion in value.
However, the situation has been normalized. The engineer does call on the public authorities to support the youths both financially and materially to develop local applications which can be used in the Cameroonian society.
A CPDM against CPDM fight in the South region has seen blood flowing in the city of Kribi. displaying placards and pictures of one of their party comrades brutalized and wounded by a CPDM senator. Militants, sympathizers and supporters of the ruling CPDM political party stormed the office of the senior divisional officer for the Ocean Division, decrying what they qualify as a threat and intimidations from their senior party comrades. We have details with Charles Ekome Abane in the following report.
These CPDM militants are expressing their indignation at the esplanade of the SDO's office in Kribi, Ocean Division, South region of Cameroon. They are decrying the repetitive acts of aggression inflicted on some of their comrades by Senator Mba. While waiting for the senior divisional officer to attend to them, a joint task force comprised of gendarmes and policemen were stationed to ensure security at the premises. More to that, some of the militants complain of being excluded from the party's committee. According to them, the silence of the party's central committee is even more shocking in regards to this pertinent situation.
Il y a comme une complicité entre le comité central et les troubleurs.
There is a complicity between the central committee and those troubling the party. I am specific about Senator Mbamba, who says he is the CPDM in the Ocean Division. But we have just proven the contrary with 1,000 militants protesting here today. We want the central committee to come and solve this problem, or else there wouldn't be an election here in Kribi too, because Senator Mbamba is not the CPDM. The CPDM is a party and its national president is President Paul Biya. The senior divisional officer of the Ocean Division, Nohu Bello, used his diplomatic skills to ease tensions by preventing the situation from degenerating. You should come and see me today after my meeting with some of your militants and present documents proving why you are all protesting. I will examine them thoroughly and will dialogue with the party's hierarchy. For now, I can't express myself on this issue, but I have to ensure security in my area of command. The militants of the CPDM section of Kribi 2 continue to decry injustice, which is hindering the activities of the party's central committee.
A CPDM against CPDM fight that falls within the reorganization of the basic organs of the ruling CPDM political party, and we've seen such instances in several parts of the country, notably in Bangantin, in the division of the west region of Cameroon, in Dibang, in the Nyong and Keli of the central region of Cameroon, in Konya Beta, beside Bafia, still in the central region of Cameroon, and in Bengbis, in the south region, where the residence of the divisional officer was set ablaze by angry supporters and sympathizers of the CPDM political party. We still closely following up the exercise, and sure we'll be coming back to that subsequently. Now, time for us to talk insecurity in the city of Douala, to say that inhabitants and dwellers of the economic capital city are still faced with several forms of insecurity, one of which is kidnappings for ransoms, and the most recent is the kidnap of a 12-year-old boy whose kidnappers were on an attempt to take him to a neighborhood in the Douala 3 municipality. They were, however, intercepted by police officials of the 17th Police District of the city of Douala. Simat Njikan Gabriel tells us more in the following report.
Another big win for the public security forces of the 17th District Police Station in Goma, situated at Peka 19 in the Douala 3 subdivision. A teenager who was kidnapped and destined for a day to meet a different family was discovered in the hideout at Peka 15.
A minor was kidnapped by one alcohol at the kilometric point 21 and taken to kilometric point 15. The principal suspect took this minor to her daughter's place. She used her daughter's place as a hideout. So last week we received a complaint from the minor's mother, who made a complaint about her son was being kidnapped. From there we tried to contact our partners, MTN Orange, for requisition, and at the same time we tried to touch one or two of our informants to assemble information.
According to the 12-year-old boy who was kidnapped, he was in the bar helping his mother who had traveled when his aunt came with the idea that he should run away from home and go to her daughter's place because his mother is maltreating him. But before the move, the aunt wrote a letter for him to recopy. They arrived at Peka 15 in the evening, but the aunt returned home to block any suspicion. Thanks to the rapid intervention of the elements of the 17th District Police Station in Goma, two suspects, Junior aged 22 and Rebecca aged 40, were arrested and presented to the public. Unfortunately, Junior is yet to give out the identity of the family with whom Junior was to live with in a day. Investigations continue to also bring to book the family that was getting set to receive a child whose identity they don't know.
In the course of this newscast, we shall be getting the reactions of Prime Minister Joseph John Guti while speaking to men and women of the press today in the city of Bamenda, but we shall be coming back to that. Time for us to say that the 2021 edition of the International Day of the Teachers was an opportunity for teachers of the private sector, especially in the Adamawa region of Cameroon, to count their frustrations and difficulties. Some of them say that they are being paid very miserable salaries, and some of them also say that the miserable salaries are very inconsistent. Their worries were expressed to our reporter Immaculate Fogwe.
Teachers in Cameroon, especially those in the private sector, are sometimes ill-treated, neglected, and equally looked down. In Cameroon, some teachers have been killed and others molested by their own students. Some of these teachers, after putting in efforts to ensure that their students get the required skills, receive very low salaries, and in some cases, the salaries are not paid regularly.
L'enseignement privé au Cameroun jouit d'une grille.
Many teachers working in the private sector are experiencing hard times. The salaries that were paid to teachers in 1985 is the same amount being paid to teachers now. It's not right. The prices of items have increased, so too should our salaries increase. Directors of schools are indifferent to the plight of the teachers.
Une attitude très irresponsable, c'est-à-dire ne semble pas.
Apart from the challenge of low salaries, some of these teachers are compelled to work in very difficult conditions, making the learning and teaching process hectic. Some classrooms are in a deplorable state. How do they expect teachers and students to be comfortable in such environments? While commemorating World Teachers' Day, teachers of the private sector in Gaoundéré in the Adamawa region urged the government to reshape their sector in such a way that will better their living conditions. In the midst of the pandemic, teachers, like other frontliners, have continued to offer their services as their zeal to achieve excellence remains their major priority.
And added to the common problems faced by teachers across Cameroon, those in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon are faced with particular challenges, that of growing insecurity. Teachers in these regions have been kidnapped, abducted, some killed, and the document on your screens is a document signed by the senior divisional officer for the Boyo division, who in that decision has suspended, or in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance in Cameroon, has suspended the salaries of some 55 teachers. The document there was forwarded to the Minister of Finance in Cameroon by the Senior Divisional Officer for the Boyo Division, and their names are outlined there with their matriculation or their matricle numbers. And the Senior Divisional Officer in that document said that the teachers have chosen not to carry on their exercise of teaching and dishing out knowledge in the Boyo Division, but are doing so go elsewhere, leaving the kids of the division to go about to cover their syllables from doubtful sources. Their teachers on their part, or the concerned teachers on their parts, have indicated the problem of insecurity. Some of them say that there are no kids in their schools. We shall be coming back to that subsequently. Time for us to talk about insecurity and the impacts on the lives of commoners in the far north region of Cameroon, the far north region that has been suffering the activities of the Boko Haram terrorist group for several years now. Innocent, as in the following report, says that the very essence and the source of livelihoods for the people of several villages of the far north region of Cameroon has been disrupted by the consistent attacks from Boko Haram militants. His report.
In the space of 3 years, the Boko Haram war has plunged the population of Kolofata, Amshide, Mora, and Limani, all the villages in the far north region of Cameroon, into famine due to destruction of about 3,000 fields of sorghum, millets, and maize.
On est obligé de faire reculer nos champs qui étaient un peu hors du village.
Being their lone source of livelihood, there was need to enable 750 farmers resume agriculture. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, comes to their aid with agricultural materials including hoes, machetes, wheelbarrows, to mention but a few, to the 750 farmers from 74 associations.
Ça va nous aider manger avec les enfants sont à l'école aussi, ça nous a bien aidé. Ça va nous aider.
Beneficiaries thank the UNDP donors, noting that they have been relieved as this will boost production, raise income and standard of living.
Ça va nous aider beaucoup.
These beneficiaries for several months have been impacted agricultural techniques, which is part of the regional facility for the stabilization of the Lake Chad Basin project.
Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti has announced the resumption of works on the Bamenda-Babaju stretch of the road, the major road that links the northwest region to the rest of Cameroon. He was speaking to the population of the northwest region at the Commercial Avenue in Bamenda today. The Prime Minister said that even with the coming to force of workers and enterprises on the Bamenda-Babaju road, some of the major infrastructural problems and concerns of the northwest region will also be handled as of this month of October 2021. Babila Jonathan gives us a run-up of the discussions on this day with the people of the northwest.
It has been a very, very hectic day here at the Commercial Avenue Ceremonial Ground in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, with the visit of the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti. Explanations upon explanations, presentations upon presentations, all intended, all geared toward convincing the people of the Northwest and the Southwest regions to accept and to adhere to the measures that have been put in place, the actions that have been taken by the government of the Republic of Cameroon to restore peace and normalcy in the crisis-stricken regions, to help the people to understand what the special status given to the Northwest and Southwest regions is all about, the content of the special status, and of course the other measures, the reconstruction plan that has been put in place by the President of the Republic, and other actions taken by the government so far with the intention of restoring peace and normalcy in the crisis-stricken regions. From Bamenda City Mayor Paul Achumbong through Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti, Minister Felix Mbayu, Northwest Regional President Professor Angwafo III, Professor Fu Angwafo III, Professor Ashiri Kilo, former Mayor John Donatus, Vice Coordinator of the Presidential Reconstruction Plan for the Northwest and the Southwest regions, to representatives of Northwest youths and some repentant fighters. One word cuts across: peace, peace and peace. From a biblical standpoint, Bamenda City Mayor Paul Achumbong said,
darkness will never prevail over light. We are light. Bamenda, we are light. Are we light? We are light. We will shine.
He went further to highlight two major problems affecting Bamenda and the rest of the Northwest region: bad roads and the absence of good sporting amenities, notably a stadium in Bamenda.
Despite the fact that you got a good car, you still felt the bumps of the roads. Very bad, very, very bad. That team where they call it Abakwa, and you go play finals for Cameroon Cup. And this team, they go play finals for Cameroon Cup where they practice on top stones.
In response, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti announced imminent resumption of reconstruction works on the Babaju-Bamenda road.
Immediately, I go back for Yaoundé. I convene the 3 companies where they get for do the Babaju-Bamenda road. They start work immediately. Because the people where they finance that road, World Bank, they will put ban, say because of certain conditions, make that work no start. But just a few days ago, they don't remove that ban. So work will start this month in Babaju-Bamenda Road.
Minister Felix Mbayu took time to explain all the measures and actions taken by government so far to solve the crisis.
When people they just say government begins the military solution, no, government don't always want a dialogue.
Northwest Regional Assembly President Professor Fuangwafo III and Professor Ashiri Kilo, the latter speaking on behalf of the Director General of the National School of Local Administration, NASLA, edified the audience on the content of the special status. They did so in a very simplified manner. Extract.
Now, we say when a special. So it is called when I bring that when a special for table.
We want to give another explanation and dimension for this special status for put them into simple, concrete form. Now, government away for Greece say yes, Northwest and Southwest, they get special vets. And so, it don't go ahead for bring solution for this special vets.
John Donatus, Vice Coordinator of the Presidential Reconstruction Plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions, explained the details of the reconstruction plan for the 2 crisis-stricken regions and went further to give details on what has been done so far in 3 phases: recovery, reconstruction, and development. According to him, much has already been done.
All the phases of the presidential plan are implemented simultaneously.
It's been a huge success that he's explained all the things that government has done. And for the boys to come out of the bush, I think that's a huge success on his part.
The representatives of Northwest youths declared that he and his peers are against all atrocities being committed by some youths, including killings, kidnapping, destruction of properties, among others. A group of ex-fighters closed the rostrum with a message of repentance and the commitment to work for peace, unity, and nation building.
And earlier on, the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Ndungute, spoke to men and women of the press. The Prime Minister used the occasion to count the losses of the Northwest region to the crisis hitting the Southwest and Northwest regions of the country. Prime Minister John Guti also told the men and women of the press that the narrative of a stolen independence from Anglophones is all kinds of stories. That's the declaration of the Prime Minister. Take a listen to Babila Jonathan in the following report.
People will tell you all kinds of stories that independence was stolen. Stolen by who? The British government itself recognized that the matter is closed. They don't discuss it. So why can we not at this point in time say, look, enough is enough?
The lamentations of a prime minister in the quest for peace in 2 regions of his country hit by crisis for close to 5 years. Speaking to the press in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, Cameroon's Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti, calls the attention of the audience to the deadly and devastating situation brought to bear on the population of the northwest and southwest regions by the crisis.
What is going on in our areas is not dignified. It's not. When you're afraid that you'll be caught on the road, you'll be taken to the bush, you'll be kept there for ransom, it's not in our DNA. It never happened here. But it is now the order of the day. Who is it hurting? It's hurting us. Why do I say it is hurting us? All the people who could invest in Bamenda have taken their investments out of the region. All the people who had children in our very top secondary schools here, Sacred Heart, Our Lady of Lourdes, PSS, Mancom, St. Beats, St. Augustine, you name it. How many are keeping their children there? All that money which was coming to us is going out. On the contrary, many of us are taking our children from our homes and sending them out.
He says the killings and destruction have to end, but for this, peace is indispensable.
It is time that we regain our normalcy, our dignity. I'm begging that this should not continue. The young military people who are fighting, protecting us, are doing their best. Please, we don't want them to stay fighting. People say, let the army go. Yes, the army will go. Immediately this thing stops. The army has no need to be in those places. It's not their role. It's the police and the gendarmes.
Prime Minister John Guti urges media professionals to put peace at the center of their reporting.
My brothers and sisters, I just want to let you know that we should not fly in the face of reality. We should be honest to ourselves. A lot has been done. That is why the president sent me to come here. The state was here. The so-called rebellion was here. The state has moved from here right here.
He reiterates government's will, commitment and determination to restore peace and normalcy in the two English-speaking regions.
Why do I say
Babila Jonathan is part of Equinoxe crack team of reporters and technician. In that same team, we have Amos Fongo, who is the technician, and of course, joining the team from Douala is our Northwest regional correspondent, Mbou Stella, and in the French language, we also have Donald Brice Kamgan. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so very much for your keen attention. We urge you to stay in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe. At 8 p.m. you shall be having a full newscast in the English language, but just before now we shall take you to Yaoundé for the French program and later Equinoxe Soir.